This week's guest is a member of one of the most famous American families from last century, the King family. You remember them? They started in vaudeville. They worked in radio's heyday. They had their own television show in the 1960s. And you got to remember those holiday specials they did all the way through the 70s. A big family. They could sing. One of those young members of that family who was introduced.
I love when you say young.
Thank you. He was introduced to America wearing knee socks and shorts. Is Cam Clarke, and we will hear from him right after this.
The following is a Tony Lasano podcast, an Opie show on the Radio Misfits Podcast Network. This is the Minutia Man Celebrity Interview with Rick and Dave.
So no Dave this week, but I'm here. And Cam, just so you know, my mom dressed me exactly the same way back in those days, in the 60s, and my sister was always dressed in a matching outfit. I'm almost
matching to you?
To me. I mean, I'm almost okay now after years of therapy. How long did it take you to get over that, being trotted out there looking like that?
Well, because I was still wearing, I went from like short shorts, back in the early 60s, little boys, they were short.
Yeah.
They weren't like to your knee or whatever. And Bob Mackey had us in knee socks and little velvet suits. And I'm still wearing, as the years of our show went on, I'm now like 10 and I'm still, they're the longer shorts, but they're still shorts.
Uh-huh.
I got teased when I went back to public school.
I bet.
I got so teased about those short shorts. There is a price to pay.
Yeah.
You see?
Yeah. I paid that price too.
Fashion has a cost.
But at least you had Bob Mackey doing it for you. I had Hildegard Kempfer, a German immigrant, doing it for me. So
and at least I got paid.
And you were famous. I was just a kid, a German kid in the neighborhood here.
And nobody paid you to wear shorts, right?
They did not. Now, you have a book out, and the book about your family is called Now They're All Here, The King Family Over 100 Years of Entertainment for America's First Family of Song, which is a mouthful. But that title's significant, isn't it?
Yeah. In fact, when I told my cousins, all of our folks are gone now, but all of us kids most of us are still here. The title, they went, that's so lame. That's like, why'd you choose that? And they know what it meant. You know how in life we everybody carries around phrases from movies like, oh, we're not in Kansas anymore, right. Or I'll have what she's having. Even the old that's what she said.
Uh-huh.
That we pepper our conversations with. Well, in my family, over the course of our long career, there were lines either improvised or scripted, and this is one of them. It is the only line my grandma ever had on the entire length of our career, and it's our 1967 Thanksgiving special.
Oh my God!
And it's set up. We got this huge Victorian house that's standing in for Grandma's house. And all of the family comes, we're singing Over the River and Through the Woods. And we come running up the stairs and blah, blah, blah. Everybody's inside. There's a beat. And then my little cousin Adam, who's probably 6 at the time, comes running up the stairs, gives Grandma a peck on the cheek, runs in the house, and she says, now they're all here.
That's great.
That's a long explanation for your short question, huh?
No, I like that.
And we still employ it, like I said with those movie lines. If we are having a function and, some of us are gathered, whoever is last, someone inevitably goes, now they're all here.
I love that.
So lots of things like that.
I think it's funny that the grandma only had one line throughout all those years, because it seems like you guys were on television every second of every day for my whole childhood.
Well, we were. Grandma didn't do a lot of the shows.
Okay.
She, Grandpa did, and I mean, talk about die with your boots on. We had done maybe, I don't know, 4 or 5 episodes when we started. Things were going great. Grandpa shows up to work. He does this click of that, you know, that thing you do when you like kick your leg up and you click your heels to one side. He's like, whatever, close to 80. And he does that. He hops up onto the stage and then he goes to his dressing room and he has a stroke. And right there on set. And he died a week later. But he went out with his dream having come true since vaudeville, when they had a little family band. And he was finally now leading that family, quote, band, now 36 members. He would literally conduct the final number, you know, with his back to the camera, etc. So, golly, that's the way to go out.
Yeah, it sure is. It sure is. And, you know, I remember when he passed away, because when the show carried on after that, you know.
Quite a while.
Yeah.
LA did have a, in the city government, they had a moment, however you do that, what is that called, where you,
like
a moment of
silence. Yeah.
Yeah. And, you know, at X o'clock, they did that for our grandpa, which was so amazing.
That's cool. I just remember everybody was blonde and incredibly wholesome. Didn't Mad Magazine do a spoof about you guys?
Actually, they did a hilarious story where, and in fact, it's in the book, part of it. The Von Trapps from Sound of Music have decided they want to get back in the biz. So they're talking to Ed Sullivan about this, and he basically says, "You're too late. The King family has taken your place." And then whoever wrote this little bit in the magazine writes parody lyrics to Favorite Things and all about our ratings and our records. And so sorry, Von Trapps, but, you know, you're so 5 minutes ago. And, you know, parodies is how you know you've made it.
For sure.
When you are the butt of a joke or a punchline in a sitcom. And we were that. I mean, Carol Burnett even did a sketch where all of her crew is in big blonde wigs. And of course you got Harvey Korman in drag, as you do. And Isabel Sanford is up in the back row with a big blonde wig. And at one point she quips to the interviewer, "I'm not the only blonde here with black roots."
That's such a great story. I mean, I also remember, now I'm sorry I'm throwing all this stuff at you, but there was like, did Clarke come up with their own with a King family color or something like that? Am I remembering that correctly?
This this newspaper article is also printed in the book. You're giving me great leads for selling my book here. And when we were in 1965, we were on our first national tour. And the year before, the World's Fair opened in New York City in 64. And so they had King Family Day at the World's Fair, hosted by the Clarke Pavilion. And in their big round pavilion, they had, for ladies only, gentlemen not allowed, you could come in, go inside, and choose your favorite shade of King Family Blonde, which is, you know, Tina Blonde, Alice Blonde, Marilyn Blonde. And
Tina was the one that became a star in My Three Sons, right? Was she?
That is correct.
I'm a geek. I gotta warn you, Cam. I'm a bit of a nerd.
So you're knowing this on your own, not by doing your homework?
No. I mean, I remember that. I was, my family. I told you they dressed me up in the knee socks and everything. This is kind of humiliating to admit, but when I'm 62, I can talk about it now. But we watched the specials every year. We watched all of your holiday specials, and we also,
Thank you.
Lawrence Welk was another thing that my family watched. So I don't know if you want to take it as a compliment, but we watched all of them, and I loved it.
There is a Lawrence Welk story.
Oh,
because it was us, and at the end of our show, my Aunt Yvonne would always say, "And stay tuned for the Lawrence Welk show, which follows next." Our show was doing really well, and ABC told us that we had a pickup for the next season, and not only do we have a pickup, we're going to what we used to call living color. Color TV was new.
Right.
And there weren't many stages that were equipped, television stages that were equipped for whatever it was required to tape in color. So we taped our show on Hollywood and Vine at a place called the Hollywood Palace. And we shared the stage with a show called, the Hollywood Palace.
Okay.
The theater and the show were the same. It was like ABC's version of Ed Sullivan.
Gotcha.
And so Lawrence Welk hears that Hollywood Palace is going to keep the stage and that King family is going to stay there with the color equipment. Well, he went nuts because he was on a different stage that wasn't going to color. And, he was a big guy at ABC. His show had been on for years. He's a powerful guy. So I don't blame him.
Yeah.
But he went to ABC and said, if you give the King family the color stage, I'm walking and taking my show with me.
Wow.
So that was the end of our color. I hope to go in color the next season. But
I had no idea.
We survived for many years, but the novelty of that, I think, could have given our first series legs.
Yeah, exactly. So, I did do some research into this book, and there are two things that I did not know. So I'll give you that. One of them was this story about Tokyo Rose during World War II. Tell that story.
Yeah. My moms, and I say my moms because they're pretty much interchangeable and they're all our moms, kind of like living in a commune. They had their big heyday originally in radio and then in big band, and which big band, as we know, is during World War, just preceded World War II, and it was the rage.
Mm-hmm.
And King Sisters were very famous. My Aunt Yvonne, with the sisters, she had a solo with the King Sisters called Nighty Night. And it was the last song they played on the Armed Forces radio before Lights Out for our servicemen all over the globe. And Tokyo Rose would get on the wire and say, wouldn't you boys rather be at home listening to Yvonne than out here fighting the Japanese?
Wow.
When I learned this, that was like, I think that's the most flabbergasting. Is that a word? Flabbergasting?
It
a
is
noun?
now, yeah.
Yeah. Amazing connection to the world. Yeah, it's a teeny blip,
Yeah.
but it was huge for me to know that they had a popularity that would get Japan, who is fighting a world war,
I know.
to try and use her.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Tokyo Rose ended up living in Chicago, and which is where
What?
I am right now. It's where our show originates. But yeah, she became like this big landlord in Chicago after the war. And
Did she have to hide out and wear
I think she went to jail for a while. I think she went to jail for a while and then came out. But she was notoriously difficult to deal with and lived here in Chicago.
Wow.
Yeah. So here's the other one that I saw that I did not realize. Tell us the significance of Dick Martin to your family.
Oh, there's a couple of stories with him, of course. Dick was, and I don't know the age range of your listeners, but for those who may not know the name, Dick Martin and Dan Rowan were a famous comedy duo, and they hosted the big hit show Laugh-In.
Yeah,
so
it was the number one show on TV at that time.
Oh my God, I would miss it.
Yeah.
Anyway, my mom was a widow, and her husband died of a heart attack at 36. Just, dropped dead on the floor. And she had two boys with him. And Dick Martin, when my mom became a widow, boy, oh boy, did the boys come out of the woodwork.
I bet.
And the last guy that Mom went out with before she met my father on a blind date. But the last guy she dated before my dad, was Dick Martin. And my two half brothers, who were 10 and 15 years older than I, were crazy about Dick. And actually, I am told that Dick would babysit the boys while Mom and my dad were out on a date courting.
Wow. That's so cool.
Which is love or something. And years later, because I hadn't known this story about him till much later for whatever reason. And I'm auditioning for a part on a little guest thingy on a sitcom. And I get a call back, and I'm told, and you're going to be meeting the director. Cool, great. So I go in, and of course I recognize him.
Uh-huh.
And pleasure to meet you. And he says, and Cam, I used to date your mother. That's out of the blue with my scene partner sitting in here. All of a sudden we're talking about him babysitting my family and all of that. And I was like blown away.
Did you get the part?
Actually, I did.
All right. See, it's not what you know. It's who you know.
Was it Mom? Was it because he loved Mom? Who knows? But I was glad. If I had some special track to get there, good for me.
So, we haven't really talked about what you're most famous for, because you're one of the premier voiceover talents in America, and I guarantee you that every person listening to this show has heard your voice before, even if they don't know anything about the King family at all, because you, sir, are Leonardo from the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the original one, right? Yes, it's true.
Is it?
Yeah.
If you read it online, it has to be true, right?
You have done a bunch of voice acting, haven't you? How many characters have you done?
I have. So many that a fan will come up, because I do Comic-Cons now.
Okay.
And a fan will come up and mention a character, and they are, wanting a voice recording or whatever it is they want. And I go, I have no idea who that is. I say, you step aside, I'll take the next person.
Yeah.
You find it and you play me a clip. Or someone will say, did you play so-and-so? And I'll go, look, I have no idea. So I have them look it up, and I'll hold their phone to my ear and go, yeah, that's me. So I honestly, maybe, I don't know, 300. I'm just picking a number out of the sky, but I am constantly being reminded of one-offs of, not gigantic projects, but things that people remember and they want to talk about that thing. And I'm like, I had no idea.
You were sitting in a studio by yourself, recording that voice.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So what are some of the ones that you have the fondest memories of, voiceovers? The favorite voice that I ever employed was for a show called Barnyard. That was an animated feature, and the movie did so well that they made a Saturday morning cartoon out of it. Oh, nice.
And I played Freddy the Ferret, and his best friend's a rooster, and he likes to eat roosters, but you can't eat your best friend, or can you?
That's excellent.
I patterned that voice a little bit on Gene Wilder from the producers, because when he'd get upset, he'd go like this, or on Willy Wonka, his voice would break, and I just pitched it up, and it is a voice that I was carrying around in my hip pocket, knowing that someday somebody would want this very fine-tuned thing, and finally, somebody did. My favorite character that I've ever done was because of its history. Most of the stuff that I work on, I either took over for someone, like Lion King. I'm Disney's Simba, since Matthew Broderick didn't want to do stuff anymore.
Right.
And but for me, an audition went out for an animated musical that was like a follow-up to You're a Good Man, Charlie Brown, and it was just called Snoopy the Musical.
Oh, yeah.
And I auditioned for this, and I booked it, and that was the greatest moment of my career, because unlike everything else, Peanuts was my childhood, and I know you can relate to that.
For sure.
I had every lunchbox, every sweatshirt, blah, blah. And to book a character from my favorite shows, Great Pumpkin, stop, right?
Yeah.
Doesn't get any better than that, was a dream come true.
So which character are you?
Snoopy.
Oh, and you're Snoopy, because Snoopy never really did a voice before that, right?
He did. I think there was an animated version of You're a Good Man, Charlie Brown.
Okay.
But, this was also a Broadway show. Yeah. So, like in the other play, Snoopy acts and he sings. But in the cartoon, they are able to be a little more true to the source, because my lips never move.
Gotcha.
So it's still all my thought bubble.
Gotcha. Cool. Well, I got to tell you, this has been a thrill for me. I appreciate you coming on the show. The book, once again, is called Now They're All Here, The King Family, Over 100 Years of Entertainment from America's First Family of Song. So tell people where they can get the book and how they can follow you on social media. Yeah.
Amazon is probably the easiest place to grab it. And I had a senior moment. What was the rest of your question?
How they can follow you?
CamClarkeVoices.com. I do a lot of posts there showing old clips from the shows and also stuff from my solo career. And I will soon be posting my appearances at Comic-Cons this year. And I also want King family fans to know that if they have the book, they can bring it to a show, and I will sign that for free if we're going to be in a town near you. And if you'd like to say, hey, would love to see, those folks as well.
Well, I'm going to get a copy of it from my mom because I know she'll absolutely love it.
So. That would be wonderful. I'm honored. And if you want her to autograph, we will make it. If you want it autographed, we will make it so.
Well, I appreciate that very much. Thanks for being on the show, Cam. I know we had some technical issues, but we finally made it through, and it was worth the wait.
Yay!
Thanks.
Thank you so much for having me.
All right. Bye-bye.
Okay. Bye.
There he goes. That's Cam Clarke. I think I revealed some stuff about my history that I'm almost glad Dave was not here to hear. But what happened was we had a misreading on the time schedule. It was a noon thing, and he thought it was noon Western time, and actually it was noon Central time. But so Dave was here, and Dave left, so Dave's not here for part of this interview. But thank you for listening to the show. Anyway, we have people to thank. We need to thank our executive producer, Tony Lasano, with the Opie Shows. Thank you, Tony. Thanks also to Ed Silla with the Radio Misfits Podcast Network. Great Talk Radio isn't dead. It just moved to a better place. It's radiomisfits.com. And by the way, this show is also available on YouTube and wherever you get your podcasts. Check it out. But I mentioned YouTube because I just found out recently that we're on YouTube. So go and check it out. It's there. And we'll be back again soon with another episode of Minutia Men's Celebrity Interview.
The proceeding was a presentation of the Radio Misfits Podcast Network. Find our other great shows on iTunes, Stitcher Radio, and at radiomisfits.com. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
This has been a presentation of Opie Productions.
Tony, can you shut up?